Let me introduce you to Aitana. She's an Instagram model from Barcelona who's really popular, but she's also super chill. Keep your feet on the ground. She likes fitness and video games. And yes, if you're wondering, she has additional photos in her subscription, which brings in about 10,000 a month. Before you subscribe, there's something I need to reveal, and it really shouldn't matter unless you're some kind of prejudiced person. By the end of this video, you'll know how to build your own army of artificial intelligence influencers completely for free. Using open-source generative image models like the Fusion XL tablet and checkpoints such as Juggernaut, which can produce super realistic images. The first generative adversarial networks emerged about 10 years ago, and at first they could only produce tiny images that you could barely make out. But now anyone can produce realistic high-resolution images, good enough to trick sad and lonely men into buying NSFW content. It's extremely sad and depressing that the agency behind this is making a profit. Six figures, especially during the sacred month of Anunut November. Content like this is dominating the minds of billions of men around the world, even though they're running a 50% discount promotion right now. 95% of this channel is made up of high-value alpha males, so we don't need to consume this content. We do reverse engineering to explore this for profit. There are many tools out there that can help you become an AI pin, like you might know Midjourney and OpenAI's Dolly. But these are paid closed-source products, which also have several layers of unwanted security. Fortunately, there's a great open-source ecosystem around generative artificial intelligence. The most well-known base model is Stable Diffusion XL, which was released at the end of July 2023. Giant models like this require an absurd amount of computational power, but fortunately, it's possible to fine-tune them by creating what we call a checkpoint, using some additional specialized training data. Now, you don't need to worry about that part because people have already created a bunch of different checkpoints that you can find on sites like Civeta Artificial Intelligence, some of which are highly optimized for photorealism. Now the next part of the puzzle is finding an interface where we can actually work with these models without having to write any code. The most well-known option is the WebDo's Tablet Fusion interface. It's an incredibly powerful tool, but it can be a bit intimidating for a beginner. There are just so many different buttons to press. Another cool option is Confui, which has a drag-and-drop editor that works kind of like Blender or Unreal Engine. But what I'm using in this video is FOOOCUS. And I'll explain why I like it in a minute. You'll notice that all these AI UIs look very similar, and that's because they're based on another open-source project called Gradle. And an interesting note is that Gradle builds the interface with Cal. Sounds great, but let's get started. Check the installation instructions, but basically, all you need to do is clone the repository, create a virtual environment for Python, and install the packages. Once that's done, you run this Python script, which will automatically download the default models in the background. These files are huge, several gigabytes, so it might take a while. The base model is Juggernaut XL, which is based on Stable Diffusion and works really well for realistic images. Now, you have the power at your fingertips to tweak any image you can imagine. What I like about FOOOCUS is that, in many ways, it looks like Midjourney, but it's free, and the interface is much more intuitive. I'm running with a modest NVIDIA 3070, and it usually takes about 45 seconds to generate 2 quality images, which is really cool. However, if you click on the Advanced tab, you'll find options for performance, image ratio, and the number of images. But there's also a tab for style, and we can mix and match these different styles to get some pretty varied results, like this retro video game style, or maybe an anime style. But to generate our AI influencer, I'm going to stick with the default setting. Along with FOOOCUS, take a photo, choose a prompt that is very specific, and add some imperfections, like rough skin, no makeup, etc., to make it more realistic. And now our influencer is born. Now, let's save this as our base image. Then, create a new prompt and check the box for input image. Drag the base image here to mix various images and text together. Now, click on the advanced box below the image to adjust how the image is blended. In this case, we're going to go for face swapping and then write a text prompt of doing yoga on the beach, giving us that perfect photo for Instagram. But the most important thing is that we have a really good continuity. The faces and hands almost look completely realistic. But when you have imperfections, you can go back to the image prompt. But this time, go to InPlan or OutPlan and then paint over the messy parts. Tell it what you want to fix, and then it will regenerate those parts of the image. Congratulations! You just created your own artificial influencer.